episode 19. No, wait, episode 20. Holy moly, that's bananas. Welcome to episode 20 of Make Things Club. My name is Sarah and I'm your host. I live in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada with my fiance and my 2 cats. And you can find me online pretty much anywhere that there's a login as Loose Pages. I am known as Romperlust on Ravelry and Etsy simply just because they were taken. So if you are interested in finding show notes or information about the podcast, you can find that on the Ravelry group, where it is basically just Make Things Club. If you search the group tab, you'll be able to find it pretty easily. I post my episode and my show notes, which are linked to my website, on Ravelry. And yeah, if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for your loyalty. You will be praised to the highest with the knit gods. If this is your first time checking me out, thank you so much for checking me out, and I hope that you enjoy it. I would just like to say that it's been a pretty busy 2 weeks since the last time I recorded. I spent a day in Jasper with my mom and my sister where we did a couple hikes. I successfully managed to get my 6 workouts in, so if you remember from last time, I kind of wanted to make you guys hold me accountable for basically getting off my butt and moving my body a little bit more. So I successfully managed to do 3 times a week for the last 2 weeks. 3 of those were actually runs, so I've been doing Couch to 5K with the Couch to 5K app, and today sucked. I'm not gonna lie. The first 3 runs were pretty easy. Today was awful. I had to stop twice to lay on the floor and catch my breath, but I just wanted to say that even though it's awful and I hated every second of it, I have completed it. So I am now starting the week 2 routine, which is a little bit more running than the week 1 one, so this next 2 weeks is going to be really important to keep me accountable. So I want to just prove that I did it right here, and I will prove that I did it again next time. So in addition to that, my fiance and I also got addicted to Stranger Things on Netflix and blew through the entire season. So if you are into like X-Files or any kind of like Stephen King-esque type stuff, it's awesome. It's basically an 8-episode show that kind of pays homage to horror. It's not really a horror itself, but it pays homage to it. So there's a lot of like E.T. or Stephen King novel references, that kind of thing, but it's awesome. I know a lot of people have been kind of talking about it, and I just wanted to say I vouch for it as well. I'm not a huge fan of the X-Files, to be honest, because I feel like if I were to write down whenever plot points happen during a certain episode, they would all basically be the exact same. So I just found it a little too routine and repetitive for myself, but I really, really liked Stranger Things. So we blew through that on Netflix over the last 2 weeks. And we also volunteered at our Space and Science Center on Thursday to take apart sexy things. It was their Science of Sex evening, and it was really, really awesome. They had a couple keynote speakers in the Star Theater where I would love to get married. I posted a picture on Instagram. They had a guy talking about the science of sexual response. They had a couple other people talking about other stuff. And then Ross was asked to take apart sexy things and kind of show how they worked and all the parts that were involved in them. So that was pretty fun. That's what you get when you're engaged to an experimental physicist. He also built a robot bot. It was fun. I don't know if I should actually post any kind of like photos from that evening because people might get offended or whatever, but it was a really pretty awesome way to spend Thursday night. And then yeah, there's just been a lot of stuff going on. So I've kind of been busy doing real life stuff, which is great because I usually never leave my apartment. So there hasn't been exactly too much consistent knitting time over the last couple weeks, but it's been pretty great. So I'm just gonna be honest, I'm gonna be looking over here a bunch because I wrote myself some actual show notes about things that I tend to forget to talk about. So I'm just gonna kind of try to stick to script, so if you get distracted by me looking down, I apologize, but trust me, I get distracted about everything. So when we talk about mostly related stuff, I'm actually gonna be honest and talk about how many knitting podcasts I've been watching over the last couple weeks. I've basically started binge watching a bunch of them, or catching up with ones that I'm already subscribed to, because thumbs up for dual monitors at work, you guys. It's so much fun working on one screen and then listening to a podcast or watching a video on the other. Keeps me so productive at work. But basically, I can't believe it took me this long to find Jacqueline from Brooklyn Knit Folk. So thanks to Carla for the recommendation. I watched her latest episode and then basically binge watch all the other ones. She has me really inspired to kind of make my own Purl Soho boxy tee. I suck at sewing. I've never actually been able to successfully work on a pattern myself. The junior high home ec stuff that I did, I made a pair of pajama pants where the waist was probably like this much too long and the legs were like this much too short, so I screwed something up completely. So I've never really been good at patterns. And it's kind of the same thing for knitting. When I'm reading stuff or if I'm interpreting something in any way, I usually don't do it correctly. But after watching her latest episode and kind of hearing her talk about how easy it was and how simple it was, I think I really would like to try to make my own boxy tee from Purl Soho. So I might take a trip to the fabric store this week and kind of buy the requirements of that. I also really want to try making a project bag, but either way, I really just kind of want to sew something. So thanks to Jacqueline for kind of pushing me to kind of maybe think about doing that a little bit more than just talking about it. And of course, like everybody else in the world, I also watched the Hey Sister podcast, and they're great. I really enjoy the kid noises in the background. It makes me feel like I'm in a fishbowl of cuteness. But anyways, after watching their first episode where they, like, Rachel kept talking about, oh, this is so weird, this is so awkward, I don't know, like, I feel like that every episode. So to watch their progression in like 3 episodes of being comfortable on camera and being able to talk about things, I'm jealous. I feel how they felt in their first episode every single time I sit down. I automatically sort of freeze and become 900% more awkward, and I'm not quite sure where that comes from. I think it's probably because I'm thinking on my feet so quickly that I just kind of forget to mention things, or I stop recording and I go, oh, that was a really important thing that I forgot to talk about, or I'm halfway through editing an episode and then I go, oh, I forgot about that too. So I did write kind of like a sort of script. It has all the points that I kind of want to talk about with each project or each yarn that I'm using that I think about during the week that I haven't really been able to kind of throw into an episode. So I'm trying to write out phrases or like paragraphs each week as when they come to me, when I start thinking about them. And yesterday I took a bubble bath in my jacuzzi tub, which you're probably not supposed to do, but I'm 30 and I'm an adult and I can do what I want. So I put some bubble bath in and turned the jets on. It was awesome. But anyways, I did most of my note writing yesterday. So I'm hoping that I can kind of do more of the details that I want to include, or that I've been thinking about, or that I'm thinking about while I'm working on certain projects, and then actually be able to formulate them into a sentence into the podcast. So hopefully this will go a lot smoother. Anyways, after all of that, I think I got everything. I introduced myself, I talked about my internet stuff, talked about the Ravelry group. Yeah, I think we're good to go. So diving right into the cals that I'm kind of working with right now. So the KC sweater, Knit City Sweater 2016 cal is still going strong. There's actually been some renewed interest in it, and I've noticed a couple people that I haven't noticed posting before posting. So if you're interested in joining along, basically you're supposed to knit yourself a sweater. This is more of a Knit City, which is a Canadian, Western Canadian, BC kind of like fiber festival that happens every year in October. So in my kind of like explanation of it, I'm kind of calling it like the Canadian Rhinebeck, but not probably anything remotely close to it. But Knit City is happening in October in Vancouver, and I'm using it as an excuse to knit a sweater. So why should Rhinebeck have all the sweater fun, right? So if you're interested in joining along, if you're planning on going to Knit City, if you've never knit a sweater, if you've knit a million sweaters, it really doesn't matter. I want everybody to join in, and I would love you to knit a sweater with me. So basically the whole rule is that the cast on date was May 1st. However, if you missed that date, doesn't matter. The cast off date is September 15. You have to be done by then, because when I draw for prizes, I would like to have it all ready to go so that when I leave on September 28th, I have your prize ready, packed, customized, whatever, so that I can bring it and deliver it to you in person. So the only thing is that it's a selfish knit. You have to knit for yourself. It has to be a full sweater. I don't care if you're doing 3/4 length sleeves or, you know, anything like that. It just has to cover your back. So we can't have any shrugs or boleros. I want you to actually have a nice full sweater. I myself don't like long sleeves, so I might be adapting my pattern to not go that long, and that's totally fine. Also, there's a bunch of other cals going on. So there's the Ho-He Along from Grocery Girls, there's the Canada Cal. You can double dip, I don't care. As long as you kind of make a sweater for yourself and you're going to Knit City, use that as an excuse to enter as many cals as you want. I'm not gonna tell you no. So on my sweater, should I do this or should I just keep doing the cal stuff? I'm just gonna keep going. So this is my Knit City sweater, and it's also one of my works in progress. And I am knitting the Cross Country Cardigan by Alicia Plummer. And I've actually made a little bit of progress, considering I had to go backwards. So there's a bit of surgery that, oh my goodness, hold on, we dropped some stitches. Nobody breathe. Lord, there we go, I think we're good. How are we on the other side? Okay. So I've had a couple mishaps over the last couple weeks with my sweater. I completely misinterpreted the instructions and was increasing like every row instead of every 9 rows, so I had to rip back to the very beginning of my body for that. And I also messed up one of the stitches. There's a design on the back of this called the rock stitch, and it's a 8-row repeat here. But I messed up one of the rows and did an extra repeat that I shouldn't have, so instead of tinking back again, because I really wouldn't have been in the mood to do that, I decided to do drop down surgery into the row below. And I'm not very good at interpreting things that are like backwards and opposite. So that was actually kind of a mind trip. Yeah, it was opposite stitches and backwards reverse, and it was harder than I was expecting, but I'm back on track. And now that I'm scared because I've already lost stitches, I'll just try it on. Holy moly, I did it again! Oh, I did it again. Okay, we're good. We're okay. We're okay. All right. Oh, I did it again this side. What is my problem? I've never had this problem before. Everything stays on so nice. Okay, anyways, it fits. So you can kind of see that I'm mid-back, under boob, and basically I'm kind of done the hip increases. I'm scared now, I just don't want to breathe. But I'm done the hip increases, and I can kind of start working on the work stripe that goes away all the way across the back. So I am using Rowan Superwash worsted weight yarn in the mole colorway. So I think it'll be a really nice neutral. But yeah, it's coming. I'm actually really surprised at how much has kind of happened with it, considering how inconsistently and how not hard I've been working on it. So it's going by quite quickly. I should probably motor it a little bit faster, because like I think it's really easy to be like, oh, I'm almost on the body, I'm almost done the sweater. But there is ribbing that goes all the way on the collar, all the way across the back, and I have to pick up stitches for that. So I'm sure that'll probably take me forever to do. So I should really probably move on this, because I don't want to be knitting it in the middle of August. I want to kind of work on more fun things. But this is my Knit City sweater, and it's coming. And like I said, I really haven't been working on it all that hard or all that consistently. So I'll put this back in before, God knows, I lose stitches, and I'm using my Fawn in the Fox bag for it. It's coming. But yeah, if you would like to join the Knit City Sweater Cal, if you would like to join the Cal, go ahead and check out my group on Ravelry. All the information's in there. It is also being co-hosted with Carla and Emily of the Relentless Knitting podcast. I was gonna do prizes and show what I've got so far for this, but I keep forgetting to get them ready, and honestly, I don't want to get up. So I will probably talk about that closer to the next episode. Maybe I'll make that a note so that I can make a list and show everything that I've got so far for that. But there are prizes. if you would like to donate anything, if you're a maker and you want some exposure or you have something that you would love to give away, let me know. You can contact me anywhere. You can contact me on YouTube, Ravelry, Instagram, anywhere. I will find your message because I'm addicted to the internet. So that's the Knit City 2016 sweater. The Cal hashtag is hashtag KC Sweater 2016. If you want to post on Instagram and kind of show what you've been up to, that would be great. Stella's just going to yowl at the door for a while because that's what she does. She was sleeping in front of me for a bit, but now she's going to disturb the peace. So that's one of the cows that I'm kind of hosting and one that I'm also participating in. The other one is the Canada cow. So I love this cow. It makes me so happy to see everybody working on it, and it's just been really fun to kind of be a part of it. A lot of podcasts have different groups that are that have chatter in them or anything like that, and I've been really happy to kind of be a part of it. So I'm not necessarily doing any kind of prizes on my blog, but there are lots of other people that are. There is a chatter thread on Ravelry if you wanted to, talk about your progress or what you're planning on doing. And if you don't know a lot about the rules, you can also check out the group because I've talked about it so many times. I don't want to go into it too much today. But one of my finished objects is actually related to this cow. And while I'm saying this, there's also a Knit City cow going on. That's happening in the Knit Social group, and it's being hosted by Nekozuki Knits. And if you would like to double dip for a sweater and you have a Canadian pattern designer or somebody who's going to be at Knit City as a vendor, you can totally double dip in that as well. So there's just so much double dipping involved. Please get involved. It's just so much fun, and win prizes because of it. Anyways, my finished object for the week is actually related to the Canada cow. So I finished my Authenticity Shawl by Soft Sweater Knits, and that is Sylvia Bobilvia, who is known as Soft Sweater on Ravelry. She has changed all of her kind of designs to be under the moniker of Soft Sweater Knits, and I cast mine on July 1st, and I managed to finish it on July 14th. So that was the day that my mom, my sister, and I drove out to Jasper for a day. I ended up finishing the garter stitch sections in the car and was able to kind of bind off and weave in all the ends before I got home that day. So here it is. So it's pretty big, which is exactly what I wanted. Oh, you can totally see that stripe on the camera. Drives me crazy, you guys. It drives me crazy. But basically, I had 3 skeins of Sweet Fiber by Melissa, Sweet Fiber Yarns, and that's Melissa Thompson who dyes that. And I had 3 skeins, one of which I bought at Knit City last year, and the other 2 that I ordered online. Now, of course, because when you're dyeing yarn with natural kind of found in nature products, it's going to really change the dye lots from case to case. So one of the skeins I had bought in Vancouver when I was at Knit City last year, and the other 2 I ordered online, and there is quite a difference between the colors. And I wanted to use the full 2 skeins that I had ordered online as part of the charts, so I did kind of change what the pattern called for a little bit. So the chart repeats are usually done, I think there was like a 5 chart or a repeat that was done 5 times. I ended up doing about 3/4 of a new chart, and I just kind of found the row of the chart that matched the very last row, and I went up to that because I wanted to use as much of that yarn as possible because I wasn't into alternating skeins. I just wanted to knit the garter section at the end in that other skein. So one of those rows, and you can see it so clearly, and it makes me nuts. If you look, there's this stripe. So that was the day that I discovered that the skeins were really different, that I wouldn't be able to get away with just adding one in. And instead of ripping back like I should have, I just decided to change skeins. So I've got this V stripe through my entire shawl, and I should have ripped back. I really should have ripped back, but I didn't. And it was really obvious to me when I was blocking it out and this was laying on blocking mats that, oh, that's not gonna be okay. But besides that, I'm really proud of this. What? I know. Come up here. Come say hi. You haven't seen Stella in a while. I know. You can't go in the hallway right now. Mom is busy. I know. Yeah. I totally noticed it when I was blocking it. I thought it might not be that bad when it was done. I'm sure if I was wearing it, which I will not be doing because I'm already too hot, but if I was wearing it, I'm sure nobody would kind of come up to me like, oh, you have a stripe in your shawl. So I'm just gonna let it go. Also, when I blocked this and I had it soaking, it bled so much dye. It was honestly like someone had made orange Kool-Aid with 5 packages of Kool-Aid. So it bled quite a bit. I should have seen that coming because sometimes if I worked on it for a while or my hands got sweaty when I washed my hands afterwards, some orange would come off. So I probably should have, you know, done the citric acid, heated it up, set the dye kind of thing, but I didn't. So, whatever. Another thing that I will kind of say about the yarn is that if you really don't like picking little pieces of twigs or like little grass pieces out of your yarn, you probably won't really enjoy the Canadian base. It's really like authentic wool. I think this would make my mom incredibly itchy because she's allergic. But for the most part, it blocks out softer. So, yeah. But that's my first project for the Canada Cal. Just gonna go through my notes and make sure that I didn't forget anything. Yeah, I got to enter this into a bunch of cals actually. So I got the Canada Cal and all of the different blogs that are kind of hosting their own Canada Cal finished objects thread. And this is also entered in twice for the Knit City Cal because Sweet Fiber will be a vendor and because Sylvia is a designer that will be featured at Knit City. So this is getting a lot of double dipping out of it and I'm really happy about it. I love it. It's gonna be perfect for fall. Doing good. So that's finished. That took a couple weeks and it's lovely. I really enjoy it. In terms of other works in progress, I picked up, actually I should talk about this one first because it is a two-part thing. So that's the wrong one. So I started the Forager scarf, which is the second project that I had wanted to do for the Canada Cal. I'm covered in wool now. But this is a scarf. And it's by Nicola Hodges, who you will probably recognize if you know a lot about Sylvia's patterns. Nicola usually models all of Sylvia's patterns. So this is actually a part 2 of a little release that they did together, which went hand in hand with the Authenticity Shawl. So this is just a scarf. It's a triangular scarf, and I don't really know what else to say about it. It's used quite a bit of yarn up to this point because you're basically making a really long banner. I only just started can you stop? She always moves my tripod just because she wants to rub up against everything. But I only started the lay section yesterday, so the majority of my yarn, because this is all I have left of one ball, which made me nervous, because I only have 2, I want to finish it, and then I was kind of like, wait a second, the majority of your increases are done, so for the most part it's just knitting a lace section and then decreasing, so I should probably be fine. I always worry about yarn chicken, because I hate yarn chicken so much, but I should probably be fine considering the majority of the scarf is already knit and then it's just decreasing until the end, so I'm not going to worry about it. But I started the lace section. How do I do this? You can kind of see through it. And then there's another section that kind of just started here. So there's not a whole lot of interest to kind of show right now. I'm using one of my Sucra miniatures progress keepers to kind of show which side is my right side. And yeah, most of this work is kind of done with the increasing. I will be honest and kind of lie about me doing it properly because it's a series of, you know, X amount of rows and then an increase, and I kind of fudged it towards the end, which is why you can kind of see it's like an exponential curve that kind of shows up because I didn't want to do it anymore. I was so bored. So I'm sure it'll block out. I really don't care that much. Garter, I don't really like garter that much when I have to do it all the time. So I'm happier to be in the lace section. I don't know how much longer all of this is. I know that there's probably like 160 rows of lace and I'm only on like 14. So it's a longer project, but I enjoy actually having some difference instead of just garter stitch. So I am also using Sweet Fiber Canadian yarn in this project. This is the flannel colorway. It's really pretty. I think when I block it, I probably will soak it and set it with some citric acid in a pot and heat it up a bit, because I lost a lot of color in the other one, so I don't want to do that here because this is a beautiful color. It's going to be amazing in fall. It's going to look amazing with my winter jacket. Stella! It's going to look amazing with my winter jacket, and it'll be a really cozy knit. So that's the other thing that I started. I started that on Thursday night. And yeah, that's also being double dipped in the Canada Cal and the Knit City Cal as well, because once again, Sweet Fiber is there. In terms of another work in progress, I recently repicked up my color field shawl, and by recently I literally mean 2 days ago. So I've been kind of binge knitting on this lately. I'm a little nervous about my yarn running out. I have mentioned this before. Sorry, now my bangs are doing that stupid thing. I can't wait till they're grown out. I hate my bangs. I'm so over it. And there's something so distinctly 90s about trying to get them back with bobby pins. I was putting them up because I always play with them, so I had them like doing this thing, and it was like some Claire Danes and Romeo and Juliet type thing, and I just couldn't handle it. So next time I try and cut my bangs, reach through your computer screen and slap me in the face, because I am overgrowing my hair out. I shouldn't have cut it. I regret everything. Anyways, back to my knitting. I'm a little worried about my Mad Tosh optic running out, and like this is such a mess. I need to reball this because it's just a total mess. But I've been weighing it. I have 21 grams left, so I'm hoping that I have enough to finish. But I should have put this on a different set of needles to show off, because these are not long enough. This cord is not long enough, but I'm almost done. So I'm using Mad Tosh DK in the Optic colorway for the speckles, and I'm using the rest of my Cascade 220 Heathers in the Opal colorway for the pink. And I'm finished the pattern. I just need to do the ribbing at the bottom. So I only just started that yesterday. And I have to do 2 inches of it. And I might do a little bit more. I don't know yet. But this is gonna be done probably by the next time that I podcast again. It'll be blocked and everything. I didn't read the pattern again. I have this huge problem with not reading patterns through. So being a little concerned about my speckles, you're supposed to have 5 sections of slip stitches and like 5 or like big chunks of like speckles. Towards the end I got a little nervous and I threw in a couple rows of pink just because I wanted to save my speckles. Stop it! I wanted to save my speckles. So I have an extra stripe section which bought me like 7 to 8 grams. So I didn't read the section at the very end where it stated you should knit some garter rows before you're finished to kind of give you a little bit more of the speckles at the end. So I was, stop it. You're gonna get hugged. Do you want a hug? You're gonna get a hug. Oh, you turd. You're getting a hug. This is my favorite way to discipline my cat. You grumpy? I'm gonna lock you in the bedroom with your sister. Anyways, what was I even talking about? Oh right, I was gonna maybe put in an extra stripe of the speckle just to kind of use it all up. And that was before I kind of realized, oh, I still need to knit like 3 rows at the very end with it. So I think I should be okay. I'm glad that I didn't instinctively put in a stripe because I would have had to rip it out. I think I should be okay for the end. If not, half of my bind off will be with speckled and the other half will be with opal. I guess you can't really do anything about it. But yeah, I need to do about another 1.5 inches of this ribbing and then I can be finished with it. The ribbing is kind of freaking me out. There are no pearls in it at all. It's all just kind of like a slip stitch pattern. So I spent a lot of time looking at it, at the pattern yesterday and going, this doesn't make sense to me, maybe it's wrong. And then I needed to remind myself that designers usually have people test this out, and me being a lowly new knitter probably didn't discover something crazy about it. And I decided to trust the pattern, and I'm just gonna go with it. So it still hasn't quite showed me how it kind of does the ribbing yet, but I'm trusting the pattern and I'm just gonna chill and do it. So really excited about this. This is gonna be a really pretty thing to wear. I love the colors. I love how it worked out. I was a little skeptical about using the optic with it just because there are certain areas that have like little spots of rust or little tiny hints of blue. So it's not all black and white. Where's that section? There's one stitch that I kind of look at every time and I go, you're cute. I can't find it now. But you can kind of see some of the colors in here. It's not just black and white. So yeah, this is another work in progress that I recently picked up. I should be finished it soon, which is good because kind of sat hibernating for a little bit and now I'm really motivated to finish it. So once again, color field shawl. I did not mention that it's a pattern by Comfrey from Junk Yarn. These notes are not doing anything to help me out here. But yeah, here's my shawl. I think that's pretty much all the whips that I had. I'm covered in yarn now. I also did a couple squares on my blanket. I thought I did more, so I actually pulled it out and put it in my notes to talk about, but I only did 2. It's not a lot, but I'll show them anyways. So I recently finished these 2 squares. This yarn here, I have no idea what the color is, but I know that it's Haven yarn, so this is from Jess. My sister-in-law, Caitlin, had extra yarn left over from a project, and she's not interested in making a blanket, so I've been inheriting her yarn scraps. So this is one of her contributions to my blanket. Thanks, Caitlin, it looks awesome. Thanks, Jess, this is beautiful. So if you haven't heard of Haven Yarn, you should check her out. I'm gonna murder my cat. Stella, enough. Don't look at me like that. Don't even. What do you need? Because you're not going in the hallway. Give it a rest. But yeah, this is from Jess. So Jess is a very, very awesome indie dyer. She's got an Etsy shop. You should check her out. And then this is my Manos de Alegria in the No But colorway. So I made my Waiting for Rain shawl with this. I have a ton of this left over, so this will probably show up a bunch in my blanket. But I started a new line, a new row, because I'm starting to be a lot more conscious of the yarn colors that I'm using, and some of them are like super crazy bright. A lot of them are really dark. So I'd like to kind of counteract, also a lot of green. I'd like to counteract some of the colors and make sure that I'm using enough to kind of keep it from being super patchy and having colors pool in a weird area. I'm also, you know, making this the most awkward project to show ever because it's a mile long and hard to kind of demonstrate. So just keeping in tradition, let's just make it super awkward for myself and start a new row. Anyways, I've been working on this off and on, so this is coming back out of hibernation. I've got like a little squishy hand towel here. Good to go. I don't think I have anything else to talk about regarding those works in progress, so I'll kind of go on to like the stash enhancement section. So I don't have them to show yet, but I ordered a set of sock interchangeable needles from Hiya Hiya last week. They shipped on Thursday, so I should hopefully get them sometime this week coming up. I'm hoping to have I'm hoping that by having all the sizes and magic loop available to me, I'll knit more socks. So this was kind of an investment piece. I really don't want to be buying a lot right now. I'm trying to cut my spending and save some money and kind of get myself more in a healthy financial situation. So I don't want to spend a lot of money on knitting stuff because it's so easy to just blow your budget when it comes to fiber and all that kind of stuff. And especially with Knit City coming up, I'm gonna blow everything then. So if I can be good till then, I'll have more money to spend in October when I'm in the marketplace and not being able to breathe properly. It's just gonna work out so much better. So I really want to be able to knit more socks. I have so much yarn that I could use to knit socks with. I just really kind of don't like DPNs, and I'm having a really hard time with them. So I'm hoping that, you know, by learning a little bit more Magic Loop and having all the needles available to me, it'll kind of help me push through my stash a little bit more. I also bought, in kind of conjunction with this, the new Susan B. Anderson sock pattern for her smooth operator socks. I was watching Grocery Girls the other day and Tracy had kind of mentioned something about that pattern being really awesome. It's an afterthought heel, but I was kind of knitting an afterthought heel sock where I knew it wasn't going to work for me pretty early on. I have a ridiculously high instep and I need that space. So the only socks that I've really knit were Rose City Rollers, and they've had the heel flap and gusset increase, or the heel flap and gusset, which kind of gives you room if you have an instep, whereas I have a gnarly instep. So I'm a little worried that if I was just to knit the simple afterthought heel, that it's going to be too tight and it's going to look really stupid with striped yarn. So Tracy was talking about this pattern and mentioning that, you know, I think she also has the same problem where she's got a high instep. So I was kind of listening and my ears perked up going, There's also a lot of really great instructions and a lot of great tutorial pictures and that kind of thing. So I think I'm gonna give it a try when I get my needles and try and push through and make myself some socks. If I can knit more of the afterthought kind of setup, I think it'll be better for me, because having the heel flap and the gusset are too many steps that I stumble through that kind of make me not want to do it in the first place. So if I can just kind of blow through a sock and throw the heel in afterwards, or, you know, do it as is, or just have a little bit more of a simplified step for that, I think I would really benefit from it. So either way, the pattern's on sale, and I bought it just because I hoard things that are on sale, and I figured I'd use it at some point. So if you've used the Susan B. Anderson Smooth Operator pattern and you really like it, let me know. I know Jess from Haven is using it as well, so I've kind of talked with her about it. I know we're both trying to kind of push ourselves to enjoy sock knitting a little more, so I'm hoping that this kind of contributes to that. I have not bought any yarn. You guys need to throw me a party for being responsible. Anyways, I'm kind of thinking that I want to invest more in good tools right now instead of yarn. I have enough yarn. So the interchangeable set, you know, like a good pattern, I think that's kind of where I want more of my money to go right now until I kind of blow through some of my stash. In terms of plans, knitting plans, I've been coming back to this pattern off and on for the last couple weeks, and I think I'm going to knit it with some stash. But the Villeneuve tank from Espace Tricot, and I am the worst at French. I've been trying to learn French on Duolingo, and my accents, like, I would have to be beat in a classroom to get them proper. But the Villeneuve tank looks like this. I would like to knit it with some stash. I think that it would be really cute with some of the ballerina back shirts that I have, just to kind of throw on with layers. The problem is I don't have enough yarn in one color to kind of make it through a tank, so I'm not sure if I want to do a color block thing, if I want to do stripes. If anyone's knit this before and has any advice, or just kind of in terms of the construction, some good tips and tricks, let me know, because I keep coming back to it. It's in my queue. I keep looking at it. I keep thinking about making it, so I should probably just make it. I also have a very lovely friend who had a beautiful little baby girl 3 weeks ago, and I've been meaning to knit her some socks. There's the Rose City Rollers Littles pattern that's out, and I tried casting on for that, and DPNs, I don't like DPNs to begin with, and when you're using 9 stitches per needle, it gets a little crazy. So I'm gonna wait until I get my interchangeables and magic loop those guys. So I tried, it just didn't work. I was so frustrated, I didn't want to do it anymore. Stella! Cat. Go play, go find something to do. Needy kitten. So when I get my set in, I would like to magic loop them. I also really want to knit her a sweater for the fall, like a little baby Knit City sweater. I love having a little human to knit for, and she's pretty special. I went and hung out with them on Friday for a couple hours and held her baby for like 2 hours straight, and the whole time my uterus was throbbing. Anyways, it's really great having a little human to knit for, so I am, you know, working on stuff for babies, and Amy, just disregard everything that I said. In terms of like TV talk, this is kind of not related to knitting, so if you wanted to peace out, that's cool with me. I need new shows to watch, guys. I blew through Stranger Things, like I said before. I really liked it. It's good production, good acting. It's not necessarily scary per se. It's more of an homage to all of like the E.T. and Stephen King kind of things. It's really great, but I'm done it. Summer typically ends up being like pretty slow for TV, but So You Think You Can Dance is on. I'm a huge sucker for that show. I used to really want to be a dancer when I was younger. I did ballet and tap when I was little, and then I went to a performing arts high school and did contemporary and all that kind of stuff. But I suck. I have no coordination. It's really hard for me to pick up steps, and I'm not that great. So I basically live vicariously through all the people that are on this show. This year, to keep things fresh, they basically only auditioned kids between the age of 8 and 13. Which is fine. I am pretty amazed at how good some of these kids are. There's actually a Canadian on the show. She's from Calgary, and she's killing it right now. So I really enjoy watching that show, but I'm gonna be honest here. There's one kid named JT that drives me crazy. He's like 9 years old and he's the worst. He's not good. They let him get by because he's cute, and it's really irritating to kind of watch his face on TV. So I feel really bad admitting that about a small child, but like, yeah, he's like 2 thumbs down for me. I can't believe that he was picked over the other guy. But besides that, like, I've got really nothing else to watch. So if you guys have any good show recommendations, especially things that I can kind of watch while I'm knitting, because some of the shows that I have watched, I stop watching, or I stop knitting, or I stop paying attention to my knitting, or something switches focus a little bit. So if you have any good show recommendations, I'm all ears. In terms of music to recommend this time, so I've kind of been talking about Canadian bands that I really like throughout the Canada Cal. Last time I talked about the Weaker Thens and then forgot to post any music that I recommended by them on my show notes. But this week I really wasn't sure who I wanted to talk about, and I didn't do a lot of prep. So I guess I will go with like my first instinct and recommend the band Library Voices.
We stand for nothing, sugars, this generation drunk text. Gonna love you like a cherub, gonna leave you like a lap dance.
They are a rather large band from, I don't know if it's actually Regina, Saskatchewan, but they're from Saskatchewan. And actually the last show that I ever played with my band, we opened for them. So they're a pretty fun band. They have a lot of good lyrics. They have a lot of like, I don't want to say self-depreciating, but like some sort of like mid-life crisis themes in it, where it's like all my friends are getting married, all my friends are having babies, and I'm just like sitting here trying to be a musician. And I really enjoy the intelligent lyrics that they have, and I really enjoy the themes that they kind of park on. They're also one of those like, I'm really proud to be Canadian bands. They have a couple songs that, you know, are really specific to Canadian culture or Canadian identity. There's one song called, oh my goodness, I should know what it's called. Parliament's Making Cuts. But the lyrics are basically that Parliament, which is our government building. We don't have like a White House, we have a Parliament. But they threw in like at the very end, their chorus is pretty repetitive, where it's just Parliament's making cuts. And then at the very end, they throw in a cheeky Parliament's making cuts to the CBC line, which I love every time that I hear it. So CBC is the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, and they've been heavily gutted by the previous government in terms of funding. And I just really love that little cheeky kind of aspect of their music. They also have some really beautiful melodies. There's a lot of people in their band, there's a lot of different instruments, and they really just kind of make music fun. So I'll recommend a couple songs, and I'll actually put them in the recommendations this time. and hopefully you guys will check them out. They're a smaller band, they're not very well known, and that was kind of one of the things that I wanted to think about when it came to recommending Canadian music. There are so many Canadian bands that everybody's probably sick and tired of, like Arcade Fire, or like, I assume everybody knows who Arcade Fire is, and that everybody knows who Feist is, and that everybody knows who Stars is, and everybody knows who Metric is. Like, I don't want to promote those ones because for some reason Metric is still getting grants from a factor in, like, oh, it just Metric drives me nuts. As someone who is in a band, it's completely ridiculous to me that they're still getting upwards of $50,000 to, like, record music. That should be for independent artists. That should be for smaller bands. So Metric just kind of drives me crazy. I won't go into it too much. But if you are a huge band that tours the world and everybody knows, you shouldn't be getting, like, grants to tour or to make music. Like, figure your own shit out and be able to support yourselves. Because, like, we applied for so many grants and never got anything, and it was just, like, a bitter place for me. But yeah, I really want to recommend Library Voices. They're super fun. They're really catchy. And that's my Canadian recommendation for music this time. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it. I'm looking around at the chaos that I made on my couch, and I'm pretty much done. I didn't talk about my other project bags because they're also Canadian. This is also from Jess from Haven. So this one I was using for my color field shawl, and like there's sloths on it. It's orange. It's super adorable. So if you haven't checked out Jess for her yarns, check her out for her project bags as well. I don't know if she actually posts her project bags on Etsy. I got them from a market because she lives quite close to me. So I bought this at the White Barn Market where I met her in person for the first time. And then the other bag that I was using for my forager scarf is this one, and this is also a bag from Laura of the Fawn Knits. This was part 2 of her Space Club. So this was the middle bag. This one was the large one from the Space Club, and I know a couple of her extra bags are now in the shop, so you can get a couple of the Space Club ones. And yeah. I think I'm done. Okie dokie. Anyways, if you want to tag along and kind of follow along with my adventures, I am most active on Instagram, and you can find me there as Loose Pages. I also have the Ravelry group, like I mentioned. And if you like my podcast, please subscribe. It's really annoying to me that Instagram changed their format, even though they said they weren't going to. They kind of went back and snuck in non-chronological feeds. So I'm gonna get kicked off Instagram, just wait. Every time I see a feed that has a picture out of order, I report it as a bug and say that my feed is no longer showing up chronologically, please fix. I've probably done this 50 times so far. If you guys want to like stick it to the man and you don't know how, because Instagram is notorious for not listening to their users and doing fake updates to get rid of the negative reviews on their iTunes page, then join me in reporting 1.5 million bugs every time you see something that's out of order. I saw Laura posted a shop update and I got it 7 hours later. So this is really, really a detrimental negative thing for the knitting community, especially those that have small businesses, especially those that rely on, you know, getting people like me to buy their products. And if I'm only gonna get shop notifications on Instagram and I'm gonna get them 7 hours too late, that screws me over too. So for the most part, I don't have anything to offer in terms of shop updates or anything like that, but if you want to stay in touch and you're kind of missing my feed or you're missing my photos, you can always subscribe on Instagram, and we can always kind of move everything to the Ravelry group as well. Not Instagram, YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube. I'm not going to change how I'm doing things because it's too much work, and I really like Instagram, but I just want to irritate the hell out of them so that they go back, or at least give you the option to have your feed chronologically, because this is pretty big bull about how they changed everything, even though it was quite apparent that most people didn't want this change. So anyways, now that I've ranted about how much I'm disappointed, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed in Instagram, I think I'll say goodbye. I got a really grumpy cat that I have to kind of figure out how to get her to shut up because she drives me crazy. Hey? You're so pretty, though. You're just pretty loud. So anyways, that's it for me. I will see you guys again in 2 weeks. And if you want to follow along, like I said, you can find me on Instagram or Ravelry, and subscribe if you like. I will say goodbye. Bye!